Hi, welcome to our online library madness. I'm Miss Julie from the Byron Public Library, and this challenge is build a perch for a pet. We've given you, if you've registered, a little pom-pom bird. That's going to be the pet that you're going to build a home and a perch for. If you're doing this and not registered, you can easily make this little guy. We just used pom-poms. We put two pom-poms together with a hot glue gun, and we cut some wings and feet and the beak from flannel, and then we used Google Eyes for the eyes. So it would be pretty easy to recreate this, or if you just even have like a small figure at home, you could use that as your pet if you don't want to make one. If you have a plastic animal or a Lego figure or something, you could, anything that is a little pet or even maybe a bit bigger, you could use. So I'm not gonna go through the whole building process with you because I want you to figure it out for yourself. But I am gonna give you some tips. If you recall on the sheet, the challenge is build a home and a perch for a pet, and the perch needs to be at least 8 inches tall. So be sure you have a ruler handy so that you know that you're meeting that requirement. What we sent home were 3 toilet paper tubes, cardboard, 4 pieces, 1 large sheet of cardstock, 6 pipe cleaners, 5 straws, a muffin cup, some scrap paper. You do not need to use all of these items. You can complete it using some of them. If you want to use all of them, you can try to do that. Some other items that might be helpful for you that you are allowed to use would be tape, a stapler. You'll probably want scissors that you need to supply for yourself, and you could do glue also. You honestly can do this without using the tape or the scissors, but if you want to make something more permanent that you could move around, you will need a means of attaching the pieces together. You can just do a freestand creation with this without using any of that, so it's up to you. But I want you to think about what we did. If you were enrolled last month, you could think about the House of Cards challenge and some of the techniques you use for that. And then I also did an online video that talked about paper towers, and a lot of things from that would also be helpful for this challenge. Both of those are available on our Virtual Library Madness playlist. So if you're watching this, that's on that playlist. If you just go out to the YouTube page for that playlist, you can find those other videos. But what I'm going to tell you, one thing to think about is with your cardstock. I cut this is the full piece that I cut in half, so that would be one approach. This is another piece that I cut into smaller pieces. I would suggest maybe you get a piece of scratch paper to start working on your design, since I did only give you the 1 piece of cardstock. The cardstock is thicker, so it's going to work better than regular paper. If you have extra cardstock at home, then you could go ahead and use the cardstock in your experimentation stage. I would say if you do small pieces, you could consider folding them in some manner. And when you fold, you want to have a nice crease. So the triangle shape is one that you could do. You could also kind of do a T shape. I guess that's more of a zigzag. So there's just different ways that you could fold to create some type of base. So that would be one approach. You could use maybe some of this cardstock in some manner. You could put it like this to create a square. You could do it like this to do a diamond. Then you could also tape or staple those together to make it more sturdy is one idea. You don't have to do that. You can begin layering. So you could layer this. Let me push it back a little so you can see it a little bit better. So one thought, you could do that. You could do your cardboard. You could maybe do a paper towel tube. So you can experiment with getting that height right so that you have the 8 inches. Also think about if you want to be able to move this, what would be the best strategy to create something that you could actually pick up and move that is all put together. So that's one thing, but you need to think about how to attach these. We're not using hot glue. So what's a way that you could attach a circle like this? It would be pretty difficult. You can maybe use a lot of tape, but it's not going to be very steady. So what I'd like you to think about is, one option would be if you cut just a little bit. So you're gonna go all around your paper towel tube and cut little pieces like this. And the tricky part is keeping them even, or relatively even. So don't make them too big to begin with. But that's gonna allow you, it's one thing to consider is that is making your overall height shorter, but that will allow you to pull them out like this, right? So if you pull things out like that, that then becomes a flat, sort of flat, right? So if you take your, maybe a piece of your cardboard, and you can see right here, this one isn't quite even, it's sticking up a little bit. So you can make some adjustments if it's, I can see that not all of mine are even. Doesn't have to be exactly perfect, but you do want it to be relatively level, so that'll make your structure stronger. So I have the small cardboard. Maybe a better approach would be the bigger piece to give it a very nice steady base. And a great way to do this is your stapler. You can just go around and staple this to your cardboard. I'm not going to do it all the way, but then you have a nice solid base that you could carry around, right? You can keep building. Use those ideas to maybe finish making it taller. Another possibility is doing that with your paper. So this was the full sheet of paper that I cut, and then I just sort of did the same thing. Being very careful, I snipped a little on the end, I folded it up. So then again, you have these things that would make a base. So again, you could tape that, not tape it, I think you'd actually want to use your stapler. So again, another idea is stapling that so that you have, again, probably the bigger one would work better, but I already used it on the other one. So that's another approach to make sure. But then also remember, you have to have a platform for your house. So then even if you do that, you need to figure out a way to attach these together because your bird needs to go up here and you need a house for your bird. And also remember, you just are not gonna do this because your bird can't see. Your bird, I guess, can technically breathe because there's a hole there, but then what if it rains or snows? Your bird's gonna get completely wet, right? And if you do that, your bird can't breathe. So you need to figure out a way to construct something, a home that has, the bird maybe would be able to see and to be able to breathe. I think you could do a lot with pipe cleaners. You can twist, oops, my lights just went out again. You can twist and manipulate those in a way to create something. You can cut your straws, and notice that your straws have the bendable part on the end. And again, that is also a good way where it bends. It is a little weak, but that gives you the same kind of thing that you could attach to cardboard. So you could use that and staple that to create this upright structure. I'll tell you something else. If you weave pipe cleaners through straws, that also creates, it makes your pipe cleaner stronger. And then it gives you something else to manipulate. You can cut that straw to make it the right height. I don't know if your bird needs a giant, it's not very tall, so you might not need this whole straw, but that's just something to consider. You could also create something out of paper, cutting a door and some windows out of that. Gave you one of these if you want to use that. So the possibilities are endless. Have a good time with this challenge and make a nice, safe perch and house for your pet. Thanks for joining me.